Hello and welcome to another episode of Ewell Acres. Today we're going to continue on with our soil amendment gardening discussions by talking about vermiculite, what it is and how to use it in your garden. Let's get started. Now, as a quick side note, if you're gaining value out of these videos, if you like what we're doing, please don't forget to subscribe. Click on that bell for notifications. Not only does it help us out with the YouTube algorithm, but it also helps us to continue to share this knowledge with everyone so we can continue to learn with each other. Now, when you're looking at vermiculite, vermiculite is a small limestone-based rock that, when superheated, expands. And it is commonly used in insulation, in heat-resistant insulation, in bulking materials out for concrete work, stucco. But the main reason what we care about vermiculite for is using it in our gardens. Now, one of the great things about vermiculite and wanting to use it in our gardens is it is very readily available. It comes from the United States, Russia, China, as well as multiple locations throughout South America, one of the largest rising being Brazil. Now, the great thing about this is what vermiculite is. It is a small sheet-like material that you can add it to your soil to allow the soil to expand a little bit, so that way better airflow and water flow can go through, having both of those attributes. But by far the greatest attribute that vermiculite has is the fact that it can retain water. By retaining water, it helps so that your soil mixtures don't as easily dry out without having it be compressed. In most notable, it's used in seedling mixes as well as major soil mixes, but you can also add it to your garden beds and your pre-existing soil. Another great benefit of vermiculite is that it has some minor micronutrients, adding to some cation exchange, in particular of magnesium, potassium, and calcium. But that is only a minor attribute benefit from it. By far, the most beneficial part of it is its ability to retain water and help out with that water exchange. Now, a lot of people sometimes confuse vermiculite with perlite. They are two very different things. Though they sound similar and are similar, they are very different. Perlite is a little bit better at airflow, whereas vermiculite is a lot better at your water retention. Both are necessary in your soils, but are both completely different. Now, when you're looking at how much do you add to your soils, you're going to be looking at anywhere between 20 and 25% by bulk volume. But this can vary based on the types of soils you have and what's going on. The more heavy the clay the soil, probably up to that 25%. But up and beyond that, you're not going to gain much added value to it. So that's where I tend to kind of follow a general rule of thumb, but it can vary based on personal thoughts that you have. And yes, when you're putting it in the ground dirt, it makes it a lot more difficult to try and determine, but it still is very beneficial if you add it to pre-existing ground soils, but it's most commonly found in bagged soils, raised garden beds, or pots seedling. One really other great benefit of this soil amendment is that it has a relatively neutral pH of about 7, meaning it's not going to drastically affect up or down the pHs of your soil, so it makes a perfect soil amendment, not messing with what's currently going on. Now, given all of the great advantages that you have in the soil amendment, there is only one minor con that this has, is it can have some fine dust particles, so if you have trouble breathing or some other issues, it may coat the lungs and have a little bit of issues. But if you are concerned about that, wet it down a little bit and you'll be perfectly fine. This risk is very, very low and not a huge concern. Like I mentioned previously in the video, this is becoming more readily available. Over the past 30 years, it has become even more easily able to find. From your garden centers, online locations, I've even easily found it in my area for your big box stores, hardware stores, even my grocery stores. Because of that, the cost of it is relatively cheap. In my own area, in the smaller bags for the big box stores, I can find an 16 quart bag anywhere between $5 and $10. If you're looking at your bigger For cubic foot bags, I can find it for around the $22 to $23 mark. So they are relatively inexpensive, which makes it really great to have on hand, and one of my highest performing great soil amendments to always keep on hand to improve my soils. So now that we've talked about the benefits, disadvantages, the great value that this stuff is, let us know in the comments below. Do you like vermiculite? Is there something that you prefer more? Is there something you prefer less? Let us know in the comments below. We're always excited to hear from each other. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so glad that we were able to get together and learning about vermiculite. If you like what we're doing, don't forget to subscribe, click on that bell for notifications, and we look forward to seeing you next time.